The morning sun streamed through the glass doors of the studio, casting a golden glow across the sleek, modern set of the View. Jodie Foster stepped out of her black SUV, her posture impeccable, the picture of calm professionalism. Yet behind her poised exterior, a storm of nerves churned. Today's appearance wasn't just an interview, it was a confrontation. Rumors had been circulating for weeks about a heated disagreement between Jodie and Joy Behar, the veteran co-host known for her sharp tongue and relentless wit. As Jodie entered the studio, she was greeted by the usual bustle. Producers scurrying to their positions, camera operators adjusting angles, and makeup artists giving last-minute touch-ups. Jodie smiled politely at everyone, her mind already rehearsing the points she wanted to make, the questions she anticipated, and, most importantly, how she would handle the tension. Joy Behar was already in her chair, sipping on her coffee, her eyes gleaming with curiosity and mischief. She noticed Jodie immediately, a sly grin creeping across her face. "Well, well, Jodie Foster," Joy called out in a teasing tone, loud enough for the nearby crew to hear. "It's been a while. Ready for some tough questions today?" Jodie returned the smile, neutral but tight. "Always ready," she replied evenly, setting her bag down and taking her seat. The producers whispered hurried instructions as the cameras rolled, capturing the tense energy that had already begun to ripple through the studio. Viewers tuning in from home would soon witness a spectacle that had been hinted at for weeks on social media. A clash between a Hollywood legend and one of daytime, TV's most formidable personalities. The first few moments of the show passed with polite small talk about Jodie's latest project, a suspense thriller she had spent years perfecting. The discussion was light, professional, almost cordial. But beneath the surface, the undercurrent of tension was palpable. Joy leaned forward slightly, her gaze sharp. "Jodie, I have to ask. There have been whispers about your reputation for being difficult on set. How do you respond to that?" Jodie's eyes narrowed, but her voice remained calm. "I think people misunderstand me sometimes. I'm very passionate about my work, and that passion can come across differently to different people." Joy smirked. "Passionate or problematic?" she teased, her tone cutting just enough to hint at provocation without overt aggression. A brief silence fell over the set. Jodie's assistant subtly handed her a water bottle, but the moment had already arrived. Jodie's pulse quickened. She knew the next few exchanges would determine whether this was just a lively interview or a confrontation that could make headlines. As the camera zoomed in on their faces, the tension between the two women became almost tangible. The audience, sensing the electricity, leaned forward in anticipation. Every word, every glance, every subtle movement was charged with suspense, promising a collision that no one in the studio or at home would soon forget. The interview began to shift. Questions about Jodie's career transitioned into topics more personal and controversial: Hollywood politics, activism, and her outspoken opinions on various social issues. Joy, sensing the opportunity, leaned in with a pointed question. "Jodie," she began, her tone deceptively gentle, "there are stories that some directors and co-stars have found your behavior intimidating. Do you think there's a part of you that enjoys the power it gives?" Jodie's jaw tightened imperceptibly. She took a measured breath, her calm exterior fraying ever so slightly. "Intimidating?" she echoed, her voice icy. "I prefer to think of it as professionalism. I expect excellence from myself and those I work with. If that makes someone uncomfortable, perhaps that's their issue, not mine." The audience shifted in their seats, sensing the friction. Joy leaned back, smiling broadly, clearly enjoying the subtle jabs. "But don't you think Hollywood expects women to be agreeable even when they're brilliant? Are you challenging those expectations intentionally?" Jodie's eyes flashed with controlled intensity. "I challenge expectations because they are outdated. Art is not about pleasing everyone. It's about truth, authenticity, and pushing boundaries. If someone finds that uncomfortable, it's a reflection of the limitations they impose on themselves." The tension escalated. Joy's tone sharpened, her questions becoming more provocative, bordering on confrontational. "So you're saying you don't care about how people perceive you?" Jodie leaned forward, her voice calm but firm. "I care about integrity, not perception. There's a difference." For a moment, it seemed as if the two women were circling each other, testing boundaries with precision. The live audience sat in rapt attention, and viewers at home could feel the energy crackling through the screen. Every word carried weight. Every pause was deliberate. Then came the tipping point. Joy asked a question about a rumored dispute on a film set, implying that Jodie's behavior had led to a co-star quitting. Jodie's composure finally cracked. She slammed her hand on the desk, startling the crew and drawing gasps from the audience. "That's enough!" she snapped, standing abruptly. "I came here to discuss my work, not to relive unfounded rumors." The cameras rolled as Jodie's expression darkened, her eyes flashing with anger and disbelief. The tension in the room became almost unbearable, like a live wire sparking. Joy, momentarily stunned, recovered her composure but couldn't hide the surprise in her eyes. But Jodie was already moving toward the exit. Her heels clicked sharply against the studio floor, echoing like a drumbeat of defiance. The audience was silent, caught between shock and awe. The stage that had been set for dialogue had transformed into a battlefield. Backstage, the atmosphere was chaotic. Producers rushed to calm nerves, while camera operators scrambled to capture the aftermath. Jodie sat in a small green room, breathing deeply, trying to regain composure. Her assistant handed her a glass of water, but Jodie's mind was racing. She knew the footage would go viral, fueling debates and speculations across social media. Meanwhile, Joy Behar remained on set, visibly shaken but composed. She addressed the cameras with a forced smile, trying to maintain professionalism. "Sometimes conversations get intense. I respect Jodie Foster immensely, and I hope we can continue this dialogue in a more constructive way." The tension didn't end there. News outlets quickly picked up the story, dissecting every moment of the confrontation. Viewers speculated endlessly. Was Jodie justified in walking out? Had Joy gone too far? Was this a publicity stunt or genuine animosity? Backstage, Jodie's team reviewed the footage. They knew the world would judge her actions harshly, but Jodie felt no regret. She had refused to participate in a public spectacle that misrepresented her intentions. "I'll be judged either way," she said quietly to her assistant. "But at least I stayed true to myself." The incident sparked debates on daytime TV about boundaries, professionalism, and the pressure on women in Hollywood. Analysts dissected body language, tone, and choice of words, while fans speculated endlessly on forums and social media threads. Even days later, the echoes of that confrontation lingered. Interviews, podcasts, and talk shows referenced the clash, each offering a new interpretation, a new angle, a new suspenseful twist. Jodie Foster had left the view not just as a guest, but as a symbol of integrity and resilience in the face of provocation. The cameras had captured more than a heated argument. They had captured a moment of raw human emotion, a clash of personalities that would be remembered for years. And for Jodie Foster, walking out had not been a defeat. It had been a statement.